Welcome to today's Tea Time audio story. It's time to slow down, take a deep breath, and enjoy a moment just for you. As you sip your favorite tea, let your mind drift into the world of stories, where imagination comes alive and anything is possible. Listening to audio stories isn't just entertaining, it's also a wonderful way to relax, spark creativity, and improve your English in a natural and enjoyable way. Stories have the power to transport us to far-off places, introduce us to new characters, and remind us of life's little lessons. So whether you're here to unwind, learn something new, or simply enjoy a quiet escape, this is your time. Get comfortable, let your worries melt away, and allow today's story to take you on a journey. Let the magic begin. Leanna never thought she'd find herself here, in the middle of a group that once pretended she didn't exist. The people who had once looked through her, who had never invited her to sit with them, now laughed at her jokes, included her in conversations, and acted as though she had always been one of them. And it felt strange, uncomfortable. Like wearing a coat that didn't quite fit, it seems pulling just a little too tight. She told herself to be grateful, to enjoy the acceptance, the attention. But beneath the surface, discomfort simmered. Because even as she smiled and nodded and played along, she wondered if she truly belonged, or if she was just a guest, welcome for now but temporary. Conditional. It started with Jason. He'd been kind during their group project, and afterward, he started waving in the hallways. A simple gesture that grew into casual conversations, and eventually, an invitation. "You should come out with us this weekend," he said one afternoon. "A few of us are getting together. It'll be fun." The words sounded easy, but they were weighted with years of exclusion. Leanna hesitated, her smile tight. Yeah, maybe. And maybe was enough. Because 2 days later, she found herself standing on the edge of a social circle she had never been part of, nursing a drink and listening to conversations that felt foreign. At first, it was fine. Fun, even. They laughed and joked, and for a while, Leanna could pretend she belonged. She could laugh along and feel included. Wanted. But as the night wore on, she noticed the glances. The way conversations dipped when she joined. The way some smiles felt stretched, like they were trying too hard. And she wondered if they remembered the girl she had been. The girl they had ignored. Or if they only saw her now. Slimmer. Different. Easier to fit into their picture. It left her feeling hollow. She talked about it with Claire, her voice heavy with doubt. "I don't know if they actually like me. Or if they just like who they think I am now." Claire listened, patient. "Do you feel like you're being yourself around them?" Leanna shook her head. "Not really. It feels like I'm playing a part. Like if I say the wrong thing, they'll remember who I used to be and change their minds." That sounds exhausting. It is. Claire's gaze was soft. "You deserve friendships where you can be yourself. Completely. Where you don't have to pretend." Leanna wanted that. More than anything. But wanting didn't make it real. The next time she went out with them, she tried to be more honest. To speak in her own voice, not the one shaped to fit their expectations. But it was harder than she thought. Every laugh felt measured. Every smile, calculated. She caught herself wondering what they would think, if they would still include her if they saw the whole of her. If they remembered the girl they used to overlook. And when she caught Jason's glance lingering, something inside her tightened. Was it real? Or was it still about how she looked? A week later, she skipped the invitation. Stayed home. Watched old movies and let the silence settle. She thought about authenticity, about belonging, about how it felt to be accepted for reasons that had nothing to do with scales or appearances. She thought about Ava. About Noah. About the few who saw her for more. And she thought about herself. About the girl who had fought hard to become strong, not just physically, but emotionally. Who deserved more than half-truths and conditional friendships. She deserved to be seen. Really seen. She started pulling back. Slowly. Gently. She still smiled. Still responded to messages. But she didn't seek them out. She didn't chase the acceptance that had always felt just out of reach. And the silence came quickly. Faster than she expected. The messages slowed. The invitations stopped. And Leanna realized just how fragile it had all been. And how free she felt without it. She filled the space with people who mattered. With Ava, whose friendship was steady and kind. With Noah, who saw her in ways that felt honest, deep. And with herself. With walks and quiet mornings. With books and journaling. With the quiet certainty that she didn't need to fit in to feel whole. She spent more time reflecting, taking quiet walks through the park, thinking about how her friendships had shifted. She wrote in her journal about what she wanted in relationships: authenticity, trust, and honesty. She wrote about how exhausting it was to perform, to shrink herself into someone else's expectations. Slowly, she started building connections that were deeper. She reached out to people who had been kind even before the weight loss, people who laughed with her without judgment, who listened and shared their own vulnerabilities. It wasn't easy, but it felt real. She learned to embrace solitude, finding strength in her own company. She realized that belonging didn't have to come from a group that made her question her worth. Belonging could be quieter, softer, more internal. It was in the mornings she spent stretching by her window, in the pages of books that spoke to her soul, in the letters she wrote to herself about hope and strength. She learned that self-acceptance was the most genuine form of belonging. And with that, the need to fit into spaces that didn't honor her faded. She just needed to be true. And maybe, that was the belonging she'd been searching for all along. Thank you for joining today's Tea Time story. We hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of imagination and storytelling. Whether it made you smile, sparked a new thought, or simply gave you a moment to relax, we're grateful to have shared this time with you. Thank you for listening and being part of our story time. Keep dreaming, keep imagining, and we'll see you again for another magical tale soon. Until next time, take care and happy listening.